Now's the time when we're being asked to know our own truth, and not only know our truth on the inside, but speak from it and stand in our medicine and create new conversations on the planet and help people to activate their own voices and their own medicine. Today's conversation is about activating your soul voice. And we have the beautiful, the wonderful Jackie Graves with us. Join us to find out more.
Soul Nectar Show, the Soul Nectar Show. You're invited, delighted to discover who you are. Anything is possible if you believe. So join us on this beautiful journey. Soul Nectar Show, Soul Nectar Show.
Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Soul Nectar Show, that show where we talk about all things essence, where we gather around the campfire and we share our stories of connection to that which is greater than us, the big mystery beyond the veil, to those synchronistic moments that lead us inexorably towards a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us and what we're doing here on this tiny blue dot that's sailing in a sea of stars. How do we even get here? I'm your host, Carrie Hummingbird, and I love these conversations week after week. They illuminate me, they lift me, they help me to see things through a new lens, a higher vibration, and they support me on my own journey. And so I hope that they also support you, and I'm guessing they do because you're listening to this right now. But just in case, just know that I appreciate you tuning in, and please like and subscribe and share it out everywhere you can. So, we're in the middle of a very challenging time for at least the United States. It's called elections. And boy, this is one of those topics that really gets people using their voices. But are they using their voices in a way that creates beauty, transformation, change, understanding, unity, elevating the vibration? Or are we using our voices in a way that creates pain, breaks relationships, causes suffering and strife, and separates people? I think we know the answer to that question predominantly. If we look out on social media or in our family systems, maybe avoiding certain family members for family dinner right now, things like that, we can really make an assessment in our own lives as to how using our voices is faring in our lives right now. Is it causing more division, or is it causing more understanding? Is it opening up, expanding more potentials? Is it lifting and empowering, or is it decimating? So we have the opportunity to use our voices from a soul level, from an empowered, inspired, high vibrational soul space. And we're going to talk about that today because I have the impressively activated, beautiful, divine feminine leader, Jackie Graves, with us. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you. It's so good to be here, Carrie. I'm so excited.
I've known Jackie for a little while. She's somebody I've been in sacred community with, doing some deep personal inner shadow work, and just a lovely human being. I just love you so much, by the way. It's just like, yes, and more Jackie, please. And so the thing that's really fun about Jackie is not only is Jackie just full on out there with her goddess self, activated with her soul knowing of who she is, and helping other leaders get activated with their voices, artists, entrepreneurs, expressing their actualized soul gifts, magnetizing the life they want. She's out there talking about all of this stuff, which some people still call woo. I think they're like cavemen, but anyway, but she's got a history, like a background. You guys are going to find out. Jackie's background is she was an educator for over 30 years, a professor of English and creative writing for 20 years, helping thousands of people find their voices and transform their lives. But now, out of the closet, no, dude, what powered all of that wisdom was woo. But it's fantastic. So you're going to find out this closet goddess has been coming out in the moonlight and shining her beautiful gifts. And I want everyone to be inspired because it is possible if you're also lurking in the closet of reality. And you can't come out and say actually my wisdom comes from the moon, or actually my wisdom comes from my soul. And I know that I'm divine. By the way, I'm not fooled anymore. This will give you some inspiration to come out and activate your voice in a positive way that's going to create beneficial outcomes and change in the world. And I think that's what we're all working on right now is healing this throat chakra. So Jackie, with all that said, welcome to the show. So glad you're here.
Oh my God, so excited. I love that introduction. I feel so activated by it. Yeah, first of all, I love Carrie. I love you back with all my heart. Like you have this gorgeous, fiery expression that it's very activating to me. Like even when we were working together before, I felt so activated by your voice and your presence and your storytelling. So I just want to really honor you as a voice, as a leader. I just see you. I love you. I cherish you. And thank you for the voice medicine that you bring to all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, working on that air medicine. Boy, that is the thing. By the way, everyone, elemental work is really powerful. So tell us, I know a little bit about your backstory, right? But people are just meeting you for my audience. So tell them about how you started making this transition into your actual soul work out of this sort of regimented reality stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we could call it regimented reality, but I always felt teaching was a calling. It was always a passion of my life. And I'll just be honest, I started teaching in the early 1990s, in 1990, actually, with a program called Teach for America. It was designed as a domestic Peace Corps, and I felt very called to go and teach. And it was the first year of the program. And I taught in the South Bronx at the height of the crack epidemic. And it was going from a college that looked like a country club where I had a really expansive and abundant experience after coming from, low income housing and growing up very conscious of poverty. I was suddenly like, wow, look at all these opportunities and possibilities. And I'm like, I'm going to go teach in the South Bronx. I'm going to share all the wisdom that I learned. And I got slammed to the ground because there just were not a lot of resources. There was a lot of drug wars and guns and shooting and violence and trauma and absolute overwhelm. Like my entire system shut down. And it was like, I always was a really good student. I was straight A's. I loved books. I loved to read. I was the valedictorian. I was most likely to succeed. I always was really good in school. And I was like, I'll be a great teacher, but standing up in front of a class and leading required different skills than being really academically strong. And it challenged me to the core. It really brought up sort of this abusive, silencing dad that I had as a child who I was not allowed to speak in my home. When dad came home, we had to be completely silent, don't scrape your fork on the plate. You will get smacked. He was very sensitive to sound. And I didn't realize how much I had suppressed in myself. So for me, education has been a path to liberating my voice, a path to standing up and being a leader, and also a path to just finding this passion. After my 2-year commitment in the South Bronx, there was no flipping way that I would ever forget the racial injustice, the economic injustice, the social injustice that I witnessed. It became a passionate calling of my life. And I have always taught in Black and Brown communities, and I have always felt so passionate about inspiring and liberating my students' voices to know who you are, use writing as a tool to connect to who you really are, and to carve a pathway to where you want to go. Write that resume, write that cover letter, dream your fondest dream, write it into reality. I remember working with my students studying Barack Obama when he was running for president, and just his speech and his memoir and how he just kind of wrote himself a page in the political landscape. He wrote himself. He created himself, and it was all visible on the page. And I just remember that inspiration and always wanting to connect my students to who they really were. So writing for me was never oh, I love to teach English. Here's the canon. No, writing was always a path to liberation through channeling, writing your soul on the page. I don't want you to write something that you think the teacher will like. I want you to write something that you love.
Oh gosh, you just spoke to my heart so much, Jackie. You just pulled out about 5 different topics that I want to go down.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
So I want to say that what I'm really witnessing in you is almost like a shamanic medicine that any kind of medicine person would use to use the power of the word to create the reality that you want to experience, not to use the word to drag yourself down into less potential, into more greater suffering, right? And so that empowered use of the word that you brought to your students and that you bring to your clients now to support people to see that they have the power right there with their language to create their reality they wish to be and experience. And that's what you saw Barack do. And that's what, that's what's possible for all of us. But I think it's more preciously potent when you're teaching somebody who basically doesn't have anything to lose. I had nothing to lose when I was at my rock bottom. Like didn't want to be here anymore. And so I can speak to that, like that feeling of, I don't even want to be here anymore. Or what's my potential? Or how's this? I got myself so far down in this hole. Like, how am I going to create anything from this place? But I want to say, like, that was actually the most powerful place to stand, because it was like, I don't have anything to lose now. I can create anything I wish with my word, with the power and potency of my word. And look, when I believe that when you're comfortable and you have like all your needs met and you kind of have no good reason to fight about anything, you really kind of lost. And I think that you can do so much good for people. All of us can do so much good for people who are like, you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready, because otherwise the answer is to leave. So what do I want to create with my word? What world do I want to build from this place of rock bottom? And I see that is so needed in this world, the use of the word to create a new reality.
Yes, woman. I have such chills on my body. And I'm thinking about my students' stories. Like when you're talking about rock bottom, like I thought I knew what rock bottom was. I thought I had it rough growing up. I thought I knew what poverty was. I experienced a whole other level of poverty. I experienced a whole other level of suffering. I heard stories. You wouldn't believe the stories I heard. The suffering that people had gone through, the immigration stories, the border crossing stories, the rape, the abuse, the like sexual trafficking, like unbelievable stuff. And what I know also is we transmute it through sharing it and letting it be witnessed. We always would have I always had circle pedagogy. Like the classroom would always be a circle. It wasn't just me like talking to the students. It was like, we're in a circle. I want to hear what you have to say. Your voice matters, and share that story. I know it's hard, especially the ones who are struggling to like get their voice out, because I was that student. No, I was getting straight A's. I was so quiet. I was so quiet. I was so scared to speak. I was scared of authority. So I always brought those stories out and we could hear them, witness them. And what happens is through the witnessing, we change. It's no longer that hidden, shameful secret. We're no longer alone in it. Suddenly people are like, I heard that. I've been there. I did that. You have camaraderie. You have support. You're no longer isolated. So I find that writing our words, we create connection. We create empathy. We build bridges. And that's what you're talking about, is we actually need that. We need to bridge across to each other. We need to remember our human connection, our soulful connection. Like at our essence, we all want the same things. We want to love and be loved. We want to be free. We want to be happy. We want to express ourselves. We want to be in joy. We all want that. We all want that for ourselves. We all want that for our children. We all want that for our neighbors. So it's like when we can really come back to, here's my experience. Here's what happened to me. And like we sort of hold it together. We process it a little bit. We give some, this is also medicine, is like that reframe. It's like, it's no longer the same story. The story that was burning inside of you and tearing you up from the inside out, it changes when it is received in a receptive community. It alchemizes and it becomes purpose. So I saw so many people, survivors of domestic abuse, who then became domestic abuse counselors because that was their medicine to share. But they discovered it, they learned it through actually sharing that story. This woman who showed me her neck on the first day of class, that's where my husband sliced my jugular. I'm a little slow because I lost oxygen for many hours to my brain. So I need extra time and support. I'm like, yes, you do, but you will get through this class. I see you. I hold you. I know you. I honor you. You are so powerful and you're here for a reason. And I can't wait to see what you create. So our stories are powerful. They're bridgers, and we can use our words to create what we want in this world. And we can use our words to transmute pain, to transmute shadow. So we don't stay in the suffering of it. We cross over to the light.
I love that. And it's like words as a survival skill. It's like survival medicine and thriving medicine after the survival part's done, right? It's like that medicine that helps us to share our stories in such a way that we are transformed through the process of being witnessed in the story and it being carried forward into a new potential. But you got to be held. So I wanted to say, like, a key to that working is the space that's being held. So talk a little bit, because the space that's being held, if it's not receptive and supportive, if it sort of colludes with your more heavy, dense ideas of yourself or the things you're expressing, then it can actually be detrimental. But if there's a certain kind of space that's being held that allows the story to transform through the witnessing in the community. So what does that space look like, Jackie? Like, what are some of the key ingredients that we could bring in as a culture that would support everyone to lift through the story?
I love this question, Carrie. And I mean, I'm going to say things that may be unpopular or may seem like kind of pie in the sky, but I think it starts with unconditional love. Like, it's just like, I love you for who you are exactly as you are right now. Like, you actually don't have to change to be loved. You are worthy of love exactly as you are. And like, thinking about this wonderful teacher at Laney, Dr. Angela Cherry Smith, she used to teach down in the segregated South, or like, those were her teachers. She came up during that time. And it was just like, my children are my babies. Even though some of them are older than me, they're still you're my people. You're my people. I got you. Like, I got you no matter what. I'm here for you. And I think that space of unconditional love is something we learn to cultivate in ourselves, unconditional love for ourselves and for others. I also feel like non-judgment is important. No matter what somebody says, I'm not going to judge you. And I feel like, again, it's a practice. It's a walk. Like, of course, we are human. We're going to be triggered into judgment. I judge people all the time. My poor husband has to deal with it the most. Bless him.
Bless him, dear heart.
Yeah. And just respect for diversity, like that we have different experiences and we don't have to have the same perspective on things, because our experiences, the walks we walked, have shaped our views and our values. And we learn to explore what those views and values are from the walk. So it's not like, oh, you think that, what's wrong with you? It's like, oh, you came from that. I see where that came from. Now I might challenge you on that because I see it like this. What do you think about that? We can have a conversation where all viewpoints are respected and honored, and we can explore those ideas without feeling like we have to attack somebody because they disagree. I feel like that's also really important. Something I always talked about in my classes. I'm surprised we're going down this road about classes, but it's okay. I love it. I'm thinking about, we used to always play these games because I taught in Oakland, which is a very diverse community. And we would play these games of like the class treasure hunt and just figuring out where people came from. And often we would have, in a class of 30 people, 20 different languages spoken, 20 different countries represented, and just starting to really just appreciate and honor, like, where is that on the map? Like, where are you coming from? Let's learn a little bit of each other's language. What does the language teach us about values? How do we value each other? And just it's like just being open to possibility. Because it's like the worst thing we could do when we judge somebody is like say, I know who you are. I know what you're about. You're this and that's wrong or that's bad. It's like staying open to the possibility of, okay, you're this person, you're from this country, but what does that mean to you? How does that show up in you? I'm open to learning about who you really are and how that has informed you in your life, and recognizing it as the blessing that it is. It's like, we need a world with diversity and different spices and different flavors and different textures and different sounds and different rhythms. That makes life beautiful and tasty and a delicious banquet. And let's celebrate it. Let's lean into the celebration of it rather than feeling like it's a threat to our way of life. It's not. There's room for all of us. It doesn't take away to add another spice, another flavor to the pot.
I love that. And I also feel the same. There are people who don't agree. And they prefer one flavor and one meal in one restaurant. And so that's also part of the connection. That's part of the soup. I actually got this view one time. This is what helps me with this, because I like diversity. I'm a person that loves that, all the different little spheres on the outside of the disco ball, and I'm the one that likes to crawl along the outside of the disco ball and go look in all the little holes and see like who everybody is, like what's going on over there. But then the guides told me at one point that like sometimes people are only in the one square, and that's their whole life incarnation goal, is to be in the one square. They're never going to find out about any other squares. That's not what they're here for. They're here to only know the one square that they're in, the one little limited myopic view, and that's it. But it's not a bad thing. to me, it seems bad because I'm geared to want diversity, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, that would be horrible.
Yeah.
But for that person, that's their life incarnation. They're geared to that, feels better for them. It actually feels good to them to have that one view and only focus on that. So I think it's kind of like different ways of learning about yourself on this planet, where maybe some curriculum at Earth School is really specific and it's one incarnation that's only this specific thread. But then there's others that like to weave. I'm a weaver. I like to weave the threads together, you know? And to me, I need a lot of threads in order to weave a really good tapestry. So it's not really going to be good enough for me to have like one thread. I mean, that would be boring for me. I want all the colors. So can we have room for all of that to be true at the same time?
Yeah, of course. Let's hold space for everyone, how they are and how they're showing up. And also honor that some people don't want to change in certain ways. That's not, like you said, it's not their sole plan. If we can honor deep inside of us that truth and that trust, that we know that that's really what we're here for, like, let's just be in the allowing of it. Let's be in the celebration of that as well. Like, that's also a valid and important energy to hold, like to hold the purity of a culture and a consciousness and a space and a time and a way of being. That's valuable too. It's like, I was thinking of something random, but like, panda bears or something. It's like the panda bears are not mating with the koala bears or whatever, like they're their own thing, and that's okay. And they, exist in like one environment, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be, everything has to be, there's room for it all. That's what I'm feeling. And also, like, we're in a time and a place in a country that has a lot of diversity in this country. And we're looking at ways to create new ways of being that, like, I'm very much about heaven on earth. Like, a lot of the people that I work with are visionary leaders who are just like, this old way of being, of divide and conquer and divisiveness and tearing each other down and like a zero-sum game. Like, if you win, I lose, and that's it. It's like, how can we create win-win-win across the board? It's possible. Like, everything is possible. So how can we use our vision, our voice to create a better way of being where we're not in this dog eat dog, survival of the fittest mentality? And it's completely possible. And I think part of that is, connecting to who you are and what you're here for. So people who come into my world are not necessarily like, oh, I just want to stay in this little corner and do this thing. They're like, I see a world that's different. I want to change it. I want to impact many. I want to impact thousands, maybe even millions. I want to see a shift. I know this world is meant for better things, a world of peace instead of war, a world of harmony instead of strife, a world of abundance instead of lack and poverty, a world of cooperation and collaboration instead of competition and tearing each other down. These things are possible. We can create them. And so I feel like when people step into my world, they're really at that place where they're like, I just want to really liberate who I am, the truth of my soul, my authentic being. I want to express it into the world. I want to lead. I have a message. I want to share it. And I want to liberate others through my message, through my medicine, because now is the time. It's not time to wait. I know that other people say, oh, this isn't the time and things are too crazy and the world is falling apart. No, I have a vision. I have a vision of a different world, and I got to do it now. Like, why would I wait? The time is now.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. I love that. And in that lesson about expressing is like, how do we express ourselves is also a really interesting conversation. Let's tune into that a little bit. Like, this is something I've been dancing in, as you know, for a while now, is like, how do I express myself? Because in some ways, like, some of us are meant to be kind of shocking. Sometimes I say some really shocking stuff and people go, oh, that Gary Hummingbird. And then some of them go, yay, she just said that. And other ones go, I can't believe she just said that. And then they go away. And so my list is like this, because either you love me or you get pissed off and hate me because I say something that just triggers the shit out of you. So I think that there's other people I notice have different voices. I notice, like, my mentor has a really gentle voice and she's very accepting and very loving. And I actually really like that. But there's something in me that just can't resist a little bit of spice. So how do we come into accepting how we express? Because I also know that in some of the other conversation that you also raised, is something that I've explored with my partner, just because it's something in my heart is this conversation around diversity and inclusion and equity and understanding people's perspectives and, actually like figuring out that not everybody is experiencing the same thing in this country. That's actually not what's happening. And there's so many people resistant to that. And that irritates me. But just to be transparent, everybody, it does. Maybe because I've been immersed in a relationship with an African-American husband and a family system. And, we watch a lot of African-American movies and televisions and things about, that culture and that, right? So like I've been immersed now in a different way of perceiving things. And I'm like, why doesn't everybody want to learn about this? And why isn't everybody open? So I get frustrated sometimes with that because I feel like I've received so much medicine from looking at things in a very different way from how I was raised to think about the world. I receive a lot from that. And so when we're using our voices, sometimes I have been spicy on that topic from time to time and piss people off. And other times I feel like I'm too gentle. It's like, if you're too gentle, nobody's paying attention, I feel like. So there's a lot to that conversation. I'll just dump it in your lap for a second.
Where do I even begin? Well,
how do we even start?
The first thing I want to just speak into is just that your own sense. I just want to address your own sense of like, how do you hold compassion for yourself? It sounds like you're kind of a little bit comparing yourself to how other people express. And I always coach my clients, like, stay out of the comparison game. Compare and despair, it like leads nowhere. Come back to yourself and your particular brand of spice. And how can you be okay with that? How can you make that okay? How can you not make it not wrong that people are in and out of your world? That's just the way you roll. You're a freaking roller coaster, mamacita. Like, hello, this is how I vibe. Like, we rock and roll here. I'm okay with that. Like, that's how it happens here. Because I am unafraid, I am expressive, I am fiery, I am sassy, and love it or hate it, this is who I am. And that's absolutely perfect. Like, can we just be okay with that? Like, can we just be okay with our flavor of expression? Yum, 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 and love up on ourselves. Like, just give it to yourself. How it is. And so many people love it, right? There's plenty of people who love that. Now, can you just love yourself unconditionally to the core of that? To the core of that. And when you find yourself in comparison saying, oh, I'm so glad that my coach has that sweet, soft voice, so I can be sexy and loud and fiery when I want to. Like, that's what I am. Like, we need it all. Good. Someone can have that sweet, soft thing. And they can have this, like all of this. I just want to like first say that because I felt like you were really speaking into a very specific experience of like, is there something wrong with the way I'm speaking? That was like maybe an undercurrent that I heard. Maybe I'm putting that on there, but I felt like.
Yeah, I could see that's part of the patriarchal conversation as well. It's like, there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. And it was like trying to figure out the right way, but there isn't really a right way. There's just everybody's moment.
Your soul, you are doing it right. When you are being fully authentically you are doing it right. We need more of that. We need more people walking their authentic soul truth and their soul path unapologetically with full unconditional love of self. So like, that's also a place where I help a lot of leaders. It's like, I'm doing it, but I don't really like myself when I'm like this, or this result is happening and I'm not fully on board with it. And it's like, how can we embrace ourselves fully, unconditionally, all the way to the core? Like, just celebrate that essence. Like you're talking about in the beginning, it's that essence. It's like, I can't change it and I wouldn't want to. Why would I? God made me like this. It's divinely perfect. So I just feel like there's just a space for whoever's listening. Maybe they needed to hear that, like just breathing into like the full unconditional acceptance of yourself as the divinely perfect creation you are and exactly the way you are right flipping now. Nothing needs to change to make you right. You are right. You are the perfect you now.
Such relaxing and releasing in that. It's like just permission to just be.
Yes. 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 I feel like this is such a beautiful conversation because for me, like the path to creating heaven on earth is balancing that being and doing, balancing the divine masculine with the divine feminine and coming into this perfect flow. It's like the divine blueprint of yin and yang. It's like masculine and feminine balanced. And we've been so patriarchy for so long. We're so out of balance. We forget, we think, especially in America, it's like, we've got to do things. We've got to build things. We got to create things. Like, we can just be. that's part of the divine blueprint as well. The masculine side is the doing, the feminine side is the being and the receiving and the allowing and the nurturing and the loving and the compassion, the gentleness. And we get to balance both of those within ourselves in our own unique way, and then bring that out into the world to create more harmony, more of that divine blueprint across the world. And also in our partnerships, you were talking about speaking our truth in relationships. And like when we're walking with a partner who's maybe had different life experiences, like my dad was Black, my mom was white. So I had that kind of very interracial relationship. I was born in 1968. So it was like Loving versus Virginia was like 1 year before I was born. It was still very segregated. My dad was, originally from Virginia in the segregated South, and they take these trains and they try and tell my parents to split up after the Mason-Dixon line and go sit in other cars. And my dad was like, I am not going anywhere. No. But like it was always a part of my consciousness. So I always gravitated towards those conversations around justice, racial justice, equity, and seeing, these what's the word I'm trying to look for? Like inequities in like economic distribution across racial, gender, all of those lines. So I was always drawn to those kind of conversations. But I'm thinking also about this in partnership, because I mentioned earlier, I've been walking this path of like coming out of judgment of my husband. I love him so much. And we've been through so much. We've been together for 20 years. And I feel like only now we're starting to come into this like divine union space where I've balanced in myself enough of my masculine and my feminine, and he's balancing enough of his masculine and feminine so that we're really coming into that space where I am whole, he is whole, and we come together and make that greater whole. I think when we first started coming together, we clicked immediately. We had karmic work to do. I was working out some daddy issues actually with my husband, my kind of scary daddy. Like my husband sometimes scared me a little bit with his anger, and I had to like find a way to ride that roller coaster and like do my shadow work on my own stuff that I was bringing and that I was projecting onto him. So I think a lot of the times we're projecting stuff from the past onto the future. That's where like some of this judgmentalism comes in as well, that we get to like, do our own inner work to release. I'm all about the path of the inside out. How can we do our inside work so that we can then radiate it out to the world as healed, as whole, bringing our true medicine to the world, our soul essence. And then it's so easy and it's so joyful and it's so sustainable because you're not trying to put on a mask and try to be somebody you're not. You just are.
So much easier. Just be yourself.
Easier. It's so much easier. So many people need permission to be themselves because we've been taught from a young age, it's wrong. Don't speak like that. Religion, the media, don't dress like that. Don't act like that. Don't go out like that. Don't have sex like that. Don't love others like that. Like we've been wronged and shamed and, in every which way and, silenced and suppressed and killed. And, like we've, freedom fighters just taken out, like there's been so much trauma, but we are really at this time. Like one of my titles besides goddess and shamanista is like high priestess of the new golden age. Like this is a new golden age, baby. Like we are past the age of Aquarius. It is a time where we can hold these codes, this remembering. We're ready to hold it. We're ready to sustain it. So I always teach us from the inside out. We do that inner work and then radiate it out to others and in our partnerships and in our communities. We radiate that out from the inside so that we're not recreating that trauma.
And I feel like in my own relationship, I've noticed how when I'm in my power, it was easier to attract a partner in his power. I heard you say that you guys have worked this, right? So that's just really laudable. Like, yay, you guys, because you started off in probably the typical shadow patterns, but you've worked it all the way till now. It's like, is what I'm hearing you say is that now you're at that place of wholeness. And I kind of did it in two different relationships. I had the shadow relationship, that I did my best to heal, but it wouldn't heal. And I was like, okay, new chapter. That's not working. Had my whole soul epiphany. And the only way to do it is leave. And then attracted this partnership over the last 8 years. Has been like so amazing because I did this deep dive work on myself. And because we continue to do it together, it's a really different experience to the family dynamics and to just the relationship dynamics what I'm experiencing now versus what I experienced before. I mean, so much love for all the whole journey, but also like I prefer this part, because there's more realness and compassion and presence, way less drama and way more love, just unconditional love and acceptance. And into a space where it feels like we have this now, we're at this opening of this capacity to be in service together.
Yes. Yeah. My husband and I are just getting to that place where we're like, how can we co-create this vision moving forward in a way that's just so joyful? And it's like, feels really good to be at the precipice of that, like unfolding. Because I only recently retired. I've been building my business for like 3-4 years, kind of behind the scenes while I was still teaching, and, retired like a year ago. My husband's getting ready to retire. And what's that chapter going to look like? But I really honor this. I'm so glad you brought it up too, like that. There's my husband had to be willing to do the work. Because here I am doing all this inner work, and I'm like, I'm finding my divinity. I'm finding my truth. I know who I am. And it's like, wait, this isn't a resonant match anymore. It's like, I'm going to call you out. You need to meet me here. I can't play that old game. And, because my wounds were around speaking my truth to my dad, to a man, to authority, like there was all of that. Like I had to work through a lot to actually be able to show up in my marriage and take a stand for myself, take a stand for what I saw our relationship needing to become, and hold him to the fire, hold him accountable. And he had to be willing to say yes. And there's been so many times where it's been like, I want you here. Wait, what about this? Da, 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 da. And it's like, yes, we both had to keep saying yes to each other again and again and again. And that has been our journey. And I also love, love, love hearing your journey, that you can do this inner shadow work on your own. And then, wow, the match that you can attract is so powerful. And like from jump, you have that and you can build from there. And also, I see it a lot with clients that I work with who deeply desire to see their partner meet them on this dance of liberation they're doing in themselves. And it's like, how do we have those conversations where you can really be honest about who you are and what you're becoming and what you see as possible and what you are calling them forth into? It's not like you're wrong or bad or the way we started out was effed up. Yeah, on some level, maybe. But like, it also is like this joyful evolution, the sacred evolution. And if you continue to say yes to each other, it's amazing what magic can unfold when you're both willing to really do this kind of work.
Yeah. And I also see it from a perspective of maturity, like willing to mature. And willing to mature, it's such a hard decision to make because it really means you can't blame somebody anymore. You cannot be a victim anymore and make your spouse the perpetrator. You really do have to step into self-responsibility and also learn a lot about those projections, which when we don't know about ourselves and we're young, we do it all the time on our partners. We don't know any better, so we just projecting all kinds of stuff on our partners from our childhoods and we don't even know we're doing it, but it just gets super messy and entangled, right? So like pulling out of that is like, you got to have enough motivation to want to do it. Like, yes, I'm committed to doing this. And I think you have to have not crossed the line or snapped the back of it, like once it's like kind of snapped, it's really hard to go back. So it takes a certain amount of timing so that you still have some bandwidth to come back in and say yes to it. Yeah. It's tricky. I know a lot of people ask me this question. They're like, do I stay or do I go? I mean, it's such a powerful question. And there's not a blanket answer. It's so complex and it's for every person to decide. Like there isn't an easy answer to that question at all, even when they start working with you, right?
Absolutely. I'm just feeling it's like there's this veil over the heart in a way. And it's almost like I want to lift it. I want to lift the veil off the heart of your listeners who are feeling like in that pain of like, I can't decide, should I stay or should I go? And you're just staying in that like stuckness place. I feel like it's almost like the stuckness place is a safe space, or it's like allowing you to stay safe for a minute. In victim, there was a part of me that like judging my husband. It's like, it's all his fault.
It's an easy thing to do, but yeah.
Well, and I wasn't even aware of it because I'm like, I'm right all the time. Like, I'm right. Like, duh. Like, this is so clear to me.
Of course.
Getting to the place where I could take responsibility for my side of the street and like where I was really not revealing myself because it required a deeper intimacy with him. And it meant I had to trust him, even though I was projecting all the reasons to distrust men, a man, a big, tall man who, looks very powerful, like my dad, I had all of these reasons not to trust him and not to fully show up. Did I ever fully show up to my dad? Never. No, he was too freaking scary. And so I had to get to a place where I was so courageous and confident in myself and willing to just be raw and vulnerable and effed up and wrong and messy and still say, this is who I am and this is what I want and this is what I need. And I need you to meet me here, even if it looks really effed up and gross and like I'm a mess and like I'm all like, snotty. This is what I need. Like, I need you to show up for me this way. And it's like, maybe he wasn't grown up that way. Like they didn't, his mom didn't hug him the way that my mom always hugged me and that I want to be hugged. Like I had to teach him some skills. Like I had to, when I'm really this upset, don't try and explain something to me mentally. Like, I don't want that. I want you to just drop into your heart, like drop your shoulders and put your hands around me and put them on my low back exactly like this. And then I will start breathing and I will cry and your shirt is going to get snotty. And then I'm going to feel like I can trust you. And he'll be like, oh, okay. You wanted me to do that? You expected me to figure that out,
Yeah. Just be a mountain and don't say anything.
I had to teach him how to hold space.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like a lot of men are trained to do. He didn't know what it meant to like hold space emotionally for another human. And that's something that, it's a skill. And like, I couldn't just assume he knew that. He didn't walk that path in his childhood to learn that. So I had to teach him that. And I had to like really dive into myself and say, that's what I need. When I'm this triggered, I don't want to have a conversation about it. I just want to be held. And I just want to know you love me. And I want you to show me in this very unique way that just really relaxes my nervous system so that I can feel held. And then I can hold you back.
What you just said was so powerful because that is the path. I mean, the path is we have to, as women, I believe that's why we wake up first a lot of times, because we have to figure out ourselves and we've got to get out of this conditioning that says that he's going to know how to make me have an orgasm. He's going to know the right guy knows how to do this for me and go, no, like that's my responsibility to know what I need for myself and to be able to speak it. Cause I also wasn't speaking. I didn't know what I needed. I had no idea. I was like, I don't know. Somebody figure it out. I didn't know myself. I didn't know my body. I didn't know what would make me happy. I just was never taught that. And I wasn't ever given a space to teach myself that. So I was shamed with my body. A lot of women are. So there's so much for us to overcome. And I think you're so right on. It's like we get to know ourselves first, and then we can learn to use our voices, sacred voice activation, soul voice activation, speak our needs, and then call in the relationship changes that would support everything moving forward out of any kind of stuck place of like, I don't know what I should do, right? That I don't know what to do next.
I want to just really speak into that sexuality piece, because I think that's where a lot of really powerful women in so many areas of their lives get really tied up and stuck and tied up in knots, not really able to express around. And like, just to completely normalize it, obviously we're all different. Our bodies are all different. Our nerve endings bundle in different places. It's not going to be the same with different people. Energy is different. It's not going to be the same. That guy did great with this, but not this. Like, it's going to be different. And so like really just being able to speak about, I like this way, harder, faster, slower, really, 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 really slow. Stop pressing that so hard, like come back, like really just being able to speak about your sexual desires and like open up about like, I want to try this. This is actually turning me on, as opposed to like feeling like you got to just show up in a certain way. Like, I don't know, like you think you got to be a Playboy bunny, or you think you got to be like, I came up in that like Harry Met Sally, like everybody's faking orgasms at the coffee table, like it's like thinking you have to be performative in a certain specific way. It's like, no, you don't. Like you get to like have your orgasm in your way. And it might not look like what it looks like on the movies. It might not. And your partner doesn't have to feel bad that you didn't have that kind of orgasm. Like that's beautiful. And like finding that beautiful, natural rhythm and expression, asking for what you want and knowing that you can get it. And like not getting triggered into like, him not getting triggered into his like unworthiness or comparison, or I'm not satisfying, or like, and just like really like grounding your ego so that you can like just really come into authenticity and intimacy and that deeper connection. Cause that's what we all really want anyway. It's like, we want to feel seen. We want to feel like so solely connected to each other. And how do we do that? We've got to like de-armor our hearts. We've got to like really open our souls. And like, how do we get there? How do we feel so secure and safe enough by doing our own inner work that we can hold ourselves through anything, and we can hold our partner to dance along with us, because we have so much power in ourselves and confidence in ourselves that we can hold each other and like really decide, like, I choose you again. Like, and I would choose you till the end of time.
Mm. Oh, I feel that. That's so beautiful, Jackie.
Yeah.
I would choose you to the end of time. Woo! That's love.
Woo.
That's love, guys. That's beautiful. Mm. Oh, thank you so much for just coming on, and such a special human. I really don't want to let you go because we're not in the same group right now, and that's really upsetting. And we had so much fun in this group together. So, I mean, gosh, you guys, do you see how awesome she is? Jackie does sessions. So like she'll do sessions with you. I think you teach classes, you do all kinds of different work, but you can get a private session with Jackie, and it's like, an hour of like magic where she just like freaking cheerleads your ass, like, and it helps to tap into all these energies that you might have a hard time feeling in yourself, because a lot of times we repress things and we don't want to feel those things. And Jackie has this really sneaky way of like tapping into those things that you're trying not to feel and like saying, hey, this is what's up. You can go, yep. And then you can cry those big snotty tears, and Jackie will hold you through that process. So like really beautiful. I love working with Jackie. She's amazing. So you guys can't go wrong. So check out her website, check out all her stuff, JackieGraves.com, JackieGraves.com. I'll put all the links in the show notes below, how you can connect with her on social media and stuff like that. And you just can't go wrong. So check her out. Check out Jackie. It's amazing. Love you, sister.
Thank you, sister.
My soul sister. So, okay, you guys, please like and share and subscribe and share this episode out with like everybody you know. And, anybody that you know that's just kind of looking for some help, looking for some activation, talking like, how do I make a difference? I want to make a difference, or I'm scared to go talk about this, or I don't know what to say, or I want to improve this with my partner, but I don't know how. All those questions you heard us talk about, this would be great stuff to send Jackie's way and share the episode out, and they can see for themselves how awesome she is. And then if you're one of the people that got referred to this, you can go thank your friend now. Okay, we're going to give everybody kisses. So here come the kisses, everybody. We love you. We'll see you next time on Soul Nectar Show. Here's your kisses. Here's your love. Mwah. See you next time on Soul Nectar. Bye for now. If you found even one gold nugget in this episode of Soul Nectar Show, will you do us a favor? Will you subscribe, like, and share this episode? Maybe even write a comment and let us know what you thought about it. We really, really want to engage with you at a much deeper level. Let's be part of community together. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now. To dive in deeper to nourishing conversation, visit soulnectar.show.
Soul Nectar Show. Awaken, awake to the show. Take a sip from the drip of nectar, from the source of who you are. Yeah.